Okay. Hello. Okay, we have another one. Hi, everyone.
Hello, everyone. How's it going today, guys?
Hi, we have a hi. Awesome.
I know a couple people messaged me a little while ago being like, what time does it start Saskatchewan time? So I know there's a few homies in the chat.
Good. Okay. We'll just do about 1 minute and then people can jump in. So I'm going to get started just by letting you guys know the rules. So thank you everyone for showing up today and coming to our free education for coffee, tea, and liquid demi. My name is Carson. This is Caitlin at Spooky Caitlin on Instagram. She's going to be showing you a couple looks with liquid demi today with our brand new liquid demi line. Also, if you guys have any questions, we're going to go over questions at the end. Feel free. I'm going to be working the chat, so if you do have any questions, let us know. But if we do miss them, we'll re-go over in the end. And then, other than that, there you are, Spooky Caitlin, everybody.
Excellent. So thanks for that awesome introduction there, Carson. Again, I'm Spooky Caitlin on Facebook and Instagram. I'm a full-time hairstylist based out of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, so we're right smack dab in the middle of Canada. I've been in the industry for about 6-7 years now, and I've been working with Pulp Riot for going on 2 years. So I'm super excited to be here and teaching you guys this class today, and a huge big thank you to Salon Center Canada for allowing me to use their beautiful education space here as well. All right, so Carson has an awesome little PowerPoint that he's going to pop up and show the formula that we're going to be working with today. I'm a huge fan of Make Life Simple. So we've got this really awesome color melt going on here. We've got, let's flip her around here. The thing I like is we're doing a really simple sectioning. So this is something that you can do literally every day in the salon. You can do umpteen different colors, do it with the liquid demis like we are today, or you can do it with your semi-permanents, which is what Pulp Riot first came out with. You can work in the Faction 8, which is the permanent color line, or you can even work with the high-speed toners. It's a super customizable look.
So I put your formula up on the screen. Do you want to take us through it?
Perfect. So what you can see here in the base, we've got a really, really soft color. We've got the 7 natural at the base into 9 natural in the end. Literally everyone on Instagram has kind of been losing their stuff over the photos of this model, and everyone just absolutely loved it. I think people really didn't expect it to be just working with the naturals and showing how pretty they can be on their own. If we were worried about having a little bit too much excessive warmth in our model, what we could have done is added in some 9-2, which is a 9 violet into our ends. That would kick out a little bit extra warmth that way. And in the base there too, if we were deciding that it was just a little bit too warm to begin with, our canvas is not quite as cool toned or as evened out as we wanted, we could even go in and add some -2 booster. I'll pull it up here. We could even go in and add some -2 booster to cool it off a little bit. Or even with our 7 natural, we could go in and just add like a touch of an 8-1 or 6-1 to cool it off a little bit extra. But as you can see, all of these naturals are super pretty. They're not really, really warm. They're not really, really cool. They're a nice balanced mix in between. We're already working with tons of warmth in the hair on an everyday basis. Why bring in a super warm base natural when we can imitate something that's actually going to happen on like that beautiful little girl hair that just gets lightened by the sun? So I'm going to flip her back around here. So again, we've got a really easy sectioning. I like to make life a lot more simple in the salon. I've been super guilty in the past for trying to really overcomplicate things, and you get all caught up in the sink and you're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Take it back a step and let's think about our color bases and make it a lot more simple. There we go. So I've got my base color mixed up here. You want to show that? You can see how the developer just like swims in the color, and then it makes it super easy to mix up. So this is the Emperor from Framar. This is one of my brushes to do any sort of like shadow rooting, because I really love the brush on the back, so I can make sure I'm getting a really smooth and seamless blend from my end to my base. And in 2 seconds, that's already mixed up and super creamy and good to go. So one of my issues with working with liquid demis of other color lines, like the first time I ever worked with a liquid demi, I was not super impressed because I went and did this beautiful shadow root, and I'm like, yeah, my like level 7 shadow root, my like level 9, 10 ends, and I went through and I did my whole process, and then I felt personally attacked because that shadow root literally went everywhere, whereas with the liquid demis from Pulp Riot, where we put our color is actually staying where it needs to live. So I'm starting in the back here because I do like to push everything out of my client's face as far as processing goes. Nobody really loves like feeling all caved in by foils and everything. So if you can push things out of the face, it's going to be a lot more comfortable for your clients as well. So I'm starting in the back here just with my simple like 2 quadrants and then leaving out my little money piece section here. Perfect. I'm going to start by outlining my entire section. And I'm doing a good like 2 inches throughout the back here for my shadow root. A little bit more of a color melt sort of vibe. So if you can see, it's about yay much. I really want to bring that down so that you can get a really good transition between the 7 and the 9. And that little mid step is going to create your 8. So you're going to have a really nice transition of a 7, 8, 9 going through the hair. I also like to keep a really good tight tension on my sections, and that's going to help to make everything a lot more clean. So then I'm just going to do a quick little run through with the back of my brush here. And you don't have to use the fancy brush. I mean, I love these big carbon combs as well for going through sections. They're a little bit stiffer and firmer, so I feel like they can really drag the color. And those are what I use for clipper combs as well. So then I'm starting at the top of my section. And again, really dragging that down. And you can already see the color of the hair changing as well. So with it changing so quickly, you can see whether or not you've formulated spot on as well. I was doing a color the other day and I was going for more of like a rose gold sort of shade, and then I popped it on the hair and I'm like, this is turning very bright orange very quickly. I have not 100% formulated this. So it's nice that I could see it quick enough to change that versus, 20 minutes down the road, having to go in and make adjustments. Oh. And I really like the fact that you can make the hair stay put there as well. Like, no problem whatsoever with it flopping back down because it's got such a nice creamy consistency to the product. I'm going to give my gal a quick little tilt here. And this is something I would do with a client too. Like if you need to see more of their head, they have necks. Get them to move their heads a little bit. Make your life simple. There's no point in breaking your back just so that your client can have a bomb color. Get them to work with you. Their 5 minutes of discomfort isn't worth your entire career of discomfort. There we go. Do we have any questions coming in so far?
No questions yet.
Cool.
Anyone have any questions? We have a loving your new hair color girl.
I do have a video coming up right away here, going through the formula of this one too. So if you like it, make sure to keep an eye out for that as well.
Yeah, the color's amazing. It's very vivid. And then people are loving your thorough explanations.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear it.
I'm not sure if I missed it, but did you, how long are you gonna let this process for?
She's just going to process for 20 minutes here. She doesn't have any grays to worry about. If we were doing some gray blending in here, what we could do is, pop her root on, put a bag over top of her head, and then we're going to pop her under the dryer for 20 minutes. Take her out of the dryer, let her cool down for another 20 minutes, and that's going to give us more of a gray blending vibe. For this gal, you can see she's little sprinkles going on through there. So we're just going to do that regular 20-minute processing time on dry hair. If we were worried about things going too dark, like if she has super porous hair, as a lot of blondes do, we could add in clear to our formula, and that's going to help to give us a little bit of a buffer to it. So we don't have to worry about things processing too dark at that point. Or we could just take down our processing time as well. Just make sure that you're watching things. So typically what I'll do is, if I'm toning somebody at the sink, my thing is always a watch kettle never boils. So I'll let my client boil away for about 10 minutes while I go and clean out my bottles and brushes and everything. And then I'll come back, check on them, and determine whether or not they need a little bit more processing time. It's very rare that I let anyone process for less than 20 minutes, just because I really want that full saturation of color. And if we're working in a situation where we're needing to cancel out tones, that full processing time is really going to make sure that we're kicking anything out that we need to.
Do you find that,
as you can see here,
oh, sorry, question. Do you find that if you leave it on for less, you're still going to get that full neutralization, or you really want to leave it on for 20 minutes to make sure that you get that neutralization?
Personally, I would rather just leave it on for the full 20 minutes. Just for a comfort level thing. I find if I look at it, I'm like, yeah, it's perfect, it's done. I'm gonna give it another 5 minutes just to be sure. So what you can see I did here with my section, after I went through and did my whole shadow root, I went and combed through it all to make sure all that color is really blending beautifully throughout everything. And then we're going to go through and apply the ends with a bottle. So before you shake up your bottle, I do like to give it a little bit of a squeeze there. And if you cover the top and then shake it, and then by the time you let it go, you don't have all that product poofing out the top. And then realistically, you're either wiping that out into the sink, onto a towel. You're getting a lot of wasted product at that point. So you can see my color goes from about here to here for the root, and then through the ends here. Quick little run through. And then I'm just going to do a little bit of a mush throughout the mids here. So I'll have my 7, I'll have my 9, and this little transitionary area is going to create my level 8. So we're going to have a super seamless blend. There we go. For my next section here, and you can see all those top sections are staying up so nice. And again, through the ends here, I don't have my level 7 running all the way through the ends. And you really don't need much, like especially once you get into the ends of the hair, they skinny out quite a bit. The bulk of your hair is really going to be in the base there. So you need a little bit less product to get through the ends, which is nice.
Looks so good. How big of sections are you taking?
I still want to be able to see through my section. So with my base color, I did them a little bit finer. Through the ends here, I can still see through them just fine. So I can take a little bit of a larger section and just making sure that I'm really saturating and getting it through. So even if you do one of these guys to really spread apart the hair, and then smooshing it, real technical terms here, right into that middle strand. So in the back here, we're doing horizontal sections. And the thing is, realistically, you're going to see the bulk of what's sitting on top of the hair. And when it opens up, you're going to see little ribbons of depth throughout the center. So your little bits of darkness are going to peek through, and that darkness is going to help to create more pop in the ends as well.
Does this have to be applied on dry hair?
Dry hair or damp hair. With dry hair, you're going to be getting full strength to your color. When you do anything on wet hair, you're actually diluting your product a little bit because the hair can only soak up so much. So you're diluting your product with water at that point, if that makes sense. You're going to get full strength of a color on dry hair, and you're going to get a slightly diluted version on wet hair. You can already see that color changing really beautifully through the base here.
It looks amazing, and that's on like a level 10, 11 mannequin head too, hey? That's crazy.
Definitely like a 9, 10. She's a little bit creamier in person, okay. I feel. Like she's definitely not like a white blonde. So the base to the naturals is cool based. So you're going to be able to cool off some of that residual warmth throughout the ends as well. That's one of my favorite things about Pulp Riot, honestly, is having that cool base. Having to fight through warmth is such a huge pain in the butt. The hair is already warm. If we want to go into something with some more warmth to it, the natural golds are so pretty. Like I love the natural golds in both Factionate, which is the permanent color line, and the liquid demis, because they are just that perfect like softness to them. Like if I was doing some baby light and then toned with like a 9 natural gold, you get that like perfect little girl hair. And I love doing, honestly, I love doing kids' hair because you can look at it and be like, all right, their hair has been lightened by the sun. How can I do this behind the chair? Because someone wants their hair to look like that. So it's fun to like look at the patterns of how those little girls' hair is lightened up and being able to try and imitate it. There we go. I'm really anal about working really clean, so I do wipe my hands quite frequently throughout any sort of coloring service. We'll come into the front section here. I'm just going to tilt her back a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. There we go. So I'm doing this section by section just for sake of ease. Again, I'm wanting to make sure I'm pushing all of my client's hair away from her face. So getting a nice tight section there. And again, I'm taking it 2-ish inches, I would say. There we go. So in this particular look, we're not utilizing clear, but has anyone else been using it? Like, do you love it? It wasn't something I used in other color lines before Pulp Riot, and I've definitely been enjoying kind of the creativity that the clear can bring. Especially playing with like clear and boosters has been super fun. So for the side section, I'm actually going in vertical sections. So anytime we're working in a vertical, we're going to get a lot more softness. So if we think about it, vertical sections, you know, think waves and waterfalls, pretty soft rolling looks. Whereas if we're using horizontal sections, we get a little bit more rigidity to the look and a little bit more, not necessarily harsh, but a stronger finish. So I like to equate that, like when we're curling hair, if we're going and dragging our flat iron or curling iron down the strand, we're going to get these soft beach waves. But if we're going in a horizontal section, we're going to get some really strong, stiff curls. Nothing bad about that. Just is what it is. Is what it is.
It looks so good so far.
If you're like a super fast applier, you could definitely do the roots of all your sections in one go. But just so that I can make sure I'm getting as best a blend as possible, I'm just going section by section here.
We have a one comment from Tracy. She says she finds the liquid demis a lot darker than the glosses she used before. So she finds she uses a lot of clear for toning, which is a really great way to actually describe it, because I find the liquid demi line is an amazing full-on liquid color line that can also be made into a gloss with clear. So if you are toning and glossing, you definitely are going to be using a lot of clear with our line, because also the best thing about it is that it can fill up to 2 to 3 levels, and really you can get that depth and you'll always get that cancellation. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. Do you find it darker and deeper than other color lines that you've used before?
I don't really find it all that darker. If anything, I kind of feel it's a little bit more true to tone. I tend to like to do a step down when I'm toning a lot anyway, just so that I can get the full impact of canceling out the underlying pigments. If I lift to if I lift to a 9, sometimes I do really like going in and toning it with an 8 so that I can have that full impact of the color that I'm using. So I don't really notice it's a whole lot darker. So even then, dropping from, a 9 to an 8, I feel like I almost get a brighter result because I'm fully canceling whatever I'm needing to cancel, or working with whatever I need to work with in that sense as well. But no, adding clear in to like lighten it up for any sort of glossing, that's an awesome idea for sure. And through the front section here again, I'm going in at an angle. And then this is also going to help make sure that everything is super saturated. And if you see any spots where you're like, well, maybe I need to like touch up my root there, just do it. Save your life later. If you think it needs to be touched up now, it'll definitely need to be touched up after it's fully done processing. So save yourself some headache and just touch it up in the meantime. Then I'm going to take this section again here. The back of my comb and just do a quick run through. And then she's blended from every angle. And just a little bit of a touch up right there. There we go. Then I'm just going to grab a foil for the money piece here. .9% of my life lives in the color black. So we're definitely using some back on black foils here from Framer. Maybe I just want to do a close up as to how skinny that little section is here. So this is a pretty subtle little money piece that we're doing today. If we were wanting to do something a lot more impactful, we could definitely increase the size of a money piece. Or if we wanted to make it even softer and more subtle, we can decrease the size of the money piece. So this is a little bit more subtle, a little bit more sun-kissed versus like full-on e-girl vibe. And then for the front, we're doing it just a little bit differently for the shadow root. But I'm literally just doing a super small root in the front here. And I guarantee there are ghosts in this building. I feel like we can hear some weird noises. There we go. I'm still gonna blame ghosts versus fan. So then I'm splitting that right in half, because you can still see there's more density right in front of the ear here, and right at, she doesn't have a widow's peak, but I'll refer to it as a widow's peak in this situation. So I'm gonna flip that back. You can see my color coming through because I've got such a nice little skinny section there. Get a little bit more on my brush. And my foil is literally just here to make sure that my shadow root from underneath, which came down to this point, doesn't transfer throughout this whole front section. There we go. Probably one of my other favorite things about the Pulp Riot Liquid Demis is they're so shiny. Like, I am absolutely obsessed with how shiny that they make the hair look and how soft they make the hair feel. Like, I definitely didn't have to do any sort of like treatment or anything after I did the other side of this mannequin head, because she was just like so perfect. And so what's making that incredible shine is quinoa, which is in pretty much every single Pulp Riot product. And that's a gluten-free seed that gives both protein and moisture. So it's packing a little bit of love back into the hair every time you use a Pulp Riot product. And then we also have a sunflower seed oil in here. We have avocado oil, grapeseed oil, and vitamin E in there as well. So you can see super tiny little shadow root here. And then I'm taking that section and running the 9-0, the 9 natural through the end. But the first time I dripped, not too shabby.
And what about can you explain the smell to us?
So what you're smelling when you first pour the color right out of the bottle is that pure grapeseed oil. So once you add the developer in, it does shear out a little bit, and you go from like very intense grape to a little bit more of like a fruit punch sort of vibe. I wasn't like crazy about it to begin with, but I'm not a huge fan of grape in general, so that's a me problem. But honestly, the more I use it, the more I like it. And especially when I smell other colors going on in the salon, I still feel like this is the superior smell by far.
Yeah, it's a little addictive.
And like everyone's like come to the salon, they're like, "Are you using Pulp Riot right now?" I'm like,
"Yes,
I am." They're like, "We can smell it. It smells so nice." I'm like, "Excellent."
We have another question from Tracy. Will there be more colors added to the line level 8? Yes, we do have. It started out as a small line to launch, but there is a lot of room for growth. So we will be growing it. We do like having obviously a smaller compact line, but I've heard rumors that we will be adding more boosters, higher levels, bigger bottles of clear, and perhaps level 8s. So stay tuned, watch Instagram for all those launches, but hopefully we will see some additions to the line. That looks so good.
Going to create more too, like you can definitely go into the math side of life a little bit easier, or a little bit more rather. So let's say, for instance, we've got a 9 natural and we have a 7 natural, but we don't have an 8 natural. What we can do is take equal parts 7 and 9, and that's going to land us right in the middle there at an 8 natural. Same thing, 9 natural gold, 7 natural gold, equal parts of those guys are going to line us right up in the middle at an 8 natural gold. You know, let's say this instance, you know, we have a 6-1, a 6 ash, and an 8-1, 8 ash. We combine those two guys equal parts, and that's going to create us a 7-1. If we want to go into like a little bit even crazier math, what you can do is, let's say you have a 3 natural and a 9 natural. If we add them together, we get 9, 10, 11, 12. We have 2 colors. We take that 12, divide it by 2. It would leave us with a 6 natural in the center, if that makes sense to y'all. I just love these swatches because they're so shiny too.
They're beautiful.
Excellent. Did that little bit of math make sense to you guys? It feels like it takes me back to hair school.
Let's hear it in the chat for Spooky Caitlin's math skills.
The only time I will ever be told I'm good at math. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Excellent. So what time are we at here? I don't. Oh, thank you. You have a clock. Awesome. So she's going to process for that 20 minutes there. And again, you can already see that color processing really beautifully. And then I'll just kind of flip her a little bit here. We'll just do that for a hot second here, just so that you can see how the back is looking as well. I'll flip that back over again there.
Oh, nice.
By the time that's all done processing, it's super, super beautiful. So like one of my little tidbits of advice as far as blonding goes, I find it's always best to not go darker than a level 7 on a blonde, just to make sure that they don't completely freak out. Because if they see a level 6, they're gonna be like, it's black. Why have you taken my blonde hair black? So if you live like no darker than a 7, it really saves your butt a little bit. It's going to make your client feel a lot more confident. If they're feeling like you still need to go darker at that point, you can always take them darker. But I find playing it safe with a level 7 is always a good way to be as far as that goes. For her ends here, like I said, it's just straight up natural. How's it looking on camera? Good. Awesome.
A little warm still, but
a little warm.
It's not in person.
Cool. And I mean, you can go to my Instagram afterwards and see some more pictures of her. Like once the other side's done processing, I'll make the whole gal look super beautiful. We can take some photos in the sun. We'll take some photos in here, and you can see how different it looks from all the different lightings as well.
It's really beautiful. It's very sun-kissed.
That was how I felt about it, was, yeah, sun-kissed sort of vibe. And you can see it when you pull her back through the front here, you get that nice pop of depth, but you get lots of lightness and brightness, and you get a real nice ribbon effect. A little bit tilt here. So it looks like you've done so much more work than you think you have. And like I was saying earlier, lots of people, between hairstylists and clients have messaged me being like, I want that color. What is that? And it seems like it should be so much more extra than just working with the naturals. So with the whole, coffee, tea, and liquid demi, I've been hugely obsessed with milk tea and boba tea lately. So she just gives me like boba tea or like vanilla latte vibe with this color, because it's not too cold, not too warm. It's just delicious. So man, so while she's processing there, let's just do a fun little curl tutorial, just because we still have lots of extra time here and we got nothing better to do with her for the next 20 minutes while she processes. So we've got super bright beauty over here. So to create those waves on the other side there, I've had lots of people messaging me just even about her curls, like, oh my God, I love that haircut. It looks so beautiful. I'm like, cool. It's just layers and it's just curled. It's nothing like super extra fancy. So I'm just gonna grab my flat iron here. She already has a bunch of Munich in her hair, which is Pulp Riot hair serum. So that goes in the hair wet or dry. I like any sort of product that you can do like doubles, triple, quadruplicate duty out of it. You know, work it onto wet hair, work it onto dry hair, leave your hair natural or let it air dry, or go through and do some curls afterwards. So we've got some heat protection in here from Munich, and then we're also getting some really beautiful shine out of it too. So with the curls, the smaller the section that you take and the slower that you run your flat iron or curling iron through, the smaller and tighter that your curl is going to be. Alternatively, the larger the section that you take and the faster that you go through, the looser your curl is going to be. So I typically like to do about a 1-inch section so that I can get the most definition out of my beachy wave. So I'm coming in from over top, giving a twist and just going straight down. And then what I like to do is just give the ends a quick little bit of a hit there. And we're gonna get some super cute beach waves. So let's say we wanted to create this beautiful blend that we've got in the ends here with a liquid demis. This is using a semi-permanence, but let's say we didn't have these semi-permanents in stock. All we had was a liquid demis. We could go in with like a 6-1 root and like an 8-1-1 end, and we're gonna get a beautiful silver, and we're gonna be able to get a little bit more utility out of our product as well.
In the camera, it's looking a little more violet than in person also.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so it looks really violet on camera. So let's say we did like a 9-2, so a level 9 violet with some like -22, so violet booster in there. Again, we could definitely recreate all these looks without having to go in and strictly use one portion of Pulp Riot. So alternatively, let's say all we had was the Faction 8. So we could go in, same thing, the color system, sorry, the numbering system is the same across the board. So with your Faction 8, go in with that like 6-1 root and do like an 8-1-1 or 9-2 end. Interstellar is super beautiful. So those are, oh, there we go. Those are deposit only permanent colors. They have some absolutely beautiful silvers in there as well. So you have so many different options. You're not just limited to one type of color.
When do you choose to go one way, and then when do you choose to go the other way?
Like liquid demi versus permanent?
No, sorry, I'm just talking about your curl technique, like to go forward or backwards.
So everything around the face, I always like to curl away from the face. It's really opening everything up and bringing the focus right into the money maker. And then from that point, I just alternate my curls back and forth. And I really like to hit those ends and smooth them out because it gives that more like relaxed, casual, beachy sort of vibe. And then I'm going in afterwards with Los Angeles, which is the tussle finishing spray, and giving that a really good shake. This is hands down my favorite texture spray that actually creates texture. I feel like some texture sprays are like, cool, it smells great, but how does this differ from a hairspray? This one you can feel the grit and you can feel the texture in the hair. And then I'm just going in with a super wide tooth comb. You can even just use your fingers, but I've recently fallen in love with this comb. And you can see all that like super fun beachy texture in there. Excellent. If we had to refresh her, like let's say she came into the salon with day 2 hair and she's just wanting to get it styled up for the day. She doesn't want to do a wash or anything like that. We could grab Berlin, which is the dry shampoo, put that all throughout her base, and then go through and curl everything. And then she's gonna be able to extend her style that one extra day as well. Excellent. And then if we needed to lock it in, we could go with Zurich, which is the flexible hold spray, or we could go in with Toronto, which is the firm hold hairspray. Awesome.
Very cool.
Do you have any more questions?
No questions, but a comment. So nice to see warmth. So tired of ash and silver all the time.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Like just this soft warmth to everything. Like, it's definitely something that I've struggled with in the past, is working with warmth. I look at something and I'm like, but I still see yellow. Like, you can ask any of my friends. Oh yeah, I just got an eye roll. Ask any of my friends, and they will tell you I am the world's worst blonde because I forever see yellow in my hair. So at least working with the Pulp Riot warmth, it's a refined warmth and it's really pretty. So it doesn't immediately make my brain hurt when I see it. I really love working with it. I totally feel that. Excellent. What time are we at?
3:40.
Awesome.
10 more minutes.
Yeah, so if that's it, that's all. If there's no more questions or anything like that, we're probably good to go at this point. I feel like I covered everything that I could possibly cover, unless you guys had some like cool formulation questions, or like, I saw this, how do I create it? Anything like that. I mean, y'all are more than welcome to message me on Instagram afterwards for any sort of questions. Even if you're like, girl, I'm at the sink and I don't know what to do right now, send me a message. Maybe I can help you out. I love answering any sort of questions, or yeah, I love educating in the first place. So I always love getting any kind of questions in my inbox.
And we do have one more question from Tracy. She's asking about gray hair coverage. Maybe just go over the gray hair coverage rules for Demi again.
Yeah, you betcha. So with the Pulp Riot Liquid Demis, we're getting more of a gray blending versus gray coverage. If you're wanting to go full on coverage, then you'd want to go into Faction 8 and either use your naturals or even your double naturals if they're really stubborn. With the gray blending with the liquid demis, you go through, you pop your color on your client, put a processing cap over top of them. You're going to pop them under the dryer for 20 minutes, lift up the hood on the dryer, let them process for another 20 minutes without any sort of heat. And then you're ready to rinse them out again too. So you're looking at a total of 40-minute processing versus 20-minute processing.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And Ashley says she loves your education, so she's definitely going to be taking you up on that offer.
Well, what's really awesome about that too is I actually have a class coming up next week. So on the Pulp Riot Artist Official Facebook group, which is at 5 p.m. PST, I'll be doing a class there, and that'll be customizing cuts with color. And that'll also be a liquid demi class as well. So for those gals, I do have them half prepped here. So if you dig them, that will be the class next week. We'll be doing a different kind of super bold money piece versus the super subtle one that we've done today. And what's nice about these gals is they're actually the exact same haircut. They're just styled differently. So we've got, you know, Manny, and we've got Quinn over here. Manny Quinn. We've got our boho, and we've got our rock star, our wash and wear, or her gal who wants to do a little bit more with their hair. And we're going to be coloring them next week. So definitely check that out as well.
That's amazing. And if you guys do want to rewatch the technique, just go to Pulp Riot Canada on YouTube. So we record, I can't speak anymore. We record all of our education classes and then put them up on YouTube for you guys to watch. So if you ever want to go back and rewatch any of our classes, you can go and see strictly Canadian content at Pulp Riot Canada YouTube. Thank you so much, Caitlin. That was very, very informative and a nice, beautiful, subtle look.
Well, thank you so much for having me. If there is anything else that y'all are wanting to see moving forward, definitely give Carson or Pulp Riot Canada a message. You know, if you wanted to see any of the other looks here or talk about anything else, maybe diving into like the styling range, or even if we want to expand a little bit further and tell Carson that you want to learn how to do some haircuts or something cool like that, that's definitely something we can do in the future as well.
All right. Thank you so much, guys, and we'll see you soon.
All right, thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone.
After.